Welcome to Art Sleep. I'm Anthony, and I'll be sharing soothing sleep lectures on art history and myths to gently guide you into a peaceful night's rest, calming your mind and soul. Hit subscribe to be the first to experience these tranquil journeys and never miss a moment of relaxation. Long ago in a chapter of history, so dark it feels like a whisper from a forgotten dream, mankind stood perilously close to vanishing forever. At some point in this ancient tale, it seemed as though God himself had resolved to erase humanity from the earth. As you settle into this journey, let the words wrap around you like a gentle blanket, guiding you through a history that whispers lessons of survival and strength, a history that nearly saw the end of us all. Picture the month of October in the year 1347, the air crisp and cool over Sicily's rugged shores, the sea stretching endlessly before the island, its waves whispering secrets older than the cliffs themselves. The scent of salt mingled with the faint aroma of olive groves, a familiar comfort to the people of this bustling port. But on this day, an unsettling sight stirred the horizon. 12 nameless ships emerged from the depths of the Black Sea, their sails tattered and frayed, their hulls heavy with an unspoken burden drifting toward the harbor like ghosts on the water, their presence a riddle wrapped in silence. The people of Sicily gathered along the docks, their eyes wide with curiosity, their hearts fluttering with a mix of excitement and unease, wondering who these strangers might be, what stories they carried, what goods they might bring to trade. They called out, their voices echoing over the waves, but no voices answered their calls. No hands waved from the decks to signal life. The silence grew thick, a heavy veil draping over the scene, pressing against the chests of those who watched. Then the truth unveiled itself, a sight so haunting it would etch itself forever into the memories of all who stood there that day. The ships were empty of life, their crews gone, their bodies slumped against the splintered wood faces, fading cold, their skin marked with dark patches that seemed to swallow the light, swollen sores that pulsed with pain and weeping wounds, oozing with a strange, heavy burden that spoke of suffering beyond words. These were ghost ships, carrying not goods, not treasures, not messages of distant lands, but a shadow, a quiet storm that had already begun its journey long before these vessels reached the shore. The local leaders, their hands steady but hearts heavy with dread, acted swiftly, their voices firm as they ordered the ships to be pushed back into the sea, hoping to shield their land from whatever curse these vessels bore. The creak of wood against wood filled the air as ropes were untied, as the ships were set adrift once more, their ghostly forms disappearing into the horizon. But the tide had turned, the shadow had landed, and the world was already changing beneath their feet, its rhythm altered by a force they could not yet name. This wasn't the beginning. Not truly. It was merely a new chapter in a story that had been unfolding for centuries. Whispers of old, passed down through generations, spoke of a divine hand, a lesson from the heavens, a shadow that had stirred long before these ships arrived, its origins lost in the mists of time, its purpose a mystery that would soon engulf the world in sorrow. When the Roman Empire stretched its mighty arms across the earth, its banners fluttered over lands as diverse as the sands of Egypt and the forests of Gaul. It was an era of grandeur, of marble cities and golden fields, where the sun seemed to shine a little brighter on the empire's ambitions. But even in those days of glory, dark marks began to appear on flesh, a silent harbinger of what was to come. bodies softened into stillness, their breath slipping away like a sigh into the night, their eyes closing on a world they could no longer see. No one knew its origin, no one held its cure, and the physicians of Rome, with all their scrolls and wisdom, could only watch as the shadow moved through the empire like a thief in the night. It traveled with the traders, those brave souls who sailed the seas in search of wealth, their ships gliding to Constantinople, the jewel of commerce, a city where East met West in a symphony of voices and colors. Its streets were alive with the chatter of merchants, its markets bright with silks and spices, its air filled with the promise of prosperity. But then the shadow touched the sailors, its dark marks spreading across their skin, and a quiet storm swept over Europe, its presence, a heavy weight on the shoulders of all who lived through those years. From 541 to 549, the storm raged, claiming nearly 5,000 souls each day. A toll so vast it seemed the earth itself wept for the loss. Cities lost 40% of their light, their populations thinning like leaves in a harsh winter, their coffers emptying as trade faltered and taxes dwindled. The Roman Empire, once a mighty colossus, stepped into its twilight, its strength waning, its days numbered, its legacy fading into the annals of history like a candle snuffed out by the wind. Yet this was only the first whisper of the shadow, a prelude to a greater sorrow. The storm slept, leaving seeds scattered across the world, hidden in the soil of distant lands, waiting for the right moment to rise again. Their dormancy, a quiet promise of return. Centuries passed, the world turning through seasons of peace and strife, until from 1346 to 1353, those dark marks returned with a vengeance, traveling from Asia to Europe, from the Middle East to North Africa, a silent caravan of sorrow that knew no borders. Some called it a heavenly judgment, a divine lesson etched in the suffering of the living, and perhaps they weren't wrong. The world had shifted, its conditions aligning like stars in a fateful constellation, its story ready for a new chapter, one that would test the very soul of humanity. In ancient Rome, the sun had warmed the land, its fields golden with wheat, its people thriving under the empire's protective embrace. But those days of warmth were long gone, replaced by a colder, harsher reality that would set the stage for the shadow's return. After 400 AD, a cold shadow fell over the earth, a chill known as the Dark Age. Cold period, its icy fingers ending the warmth that had once nurtured the Roman world. Its presence, a heavy blanket that smothered the land in frost. The skies grew gray, the winds sharp, the winters long and unforgiving, their bite deep enough to turn rivers to ice and fields to barren wastelands. Then, as if nature sought to balance its cruelty with a gift, came the medieval warm period, a strange and fleeting blessing of heat, its days bright with sunlight, its nights mild with gentle breezes, perfect for growth and renewal. Ports opened wide their docks, bustling with activity. Wild lands turned to fertile fields. Homes rose like flowers blooming in spring, and humanity took its first tentative steps toward global trade, its dreams of prosperity stretching across the seas. In 1266, the Genoese, a people known for their seafaring spirit, sailed to Kaffa, a land of promise, nestled on the Crimean Peninsula, its geography a blessing that seemed to beckon the ambitious. Surrounded by the sea, its shores kissed by waves. Kaffa was linked to the Silk Road in the north, a vital artery of trade that stretched deep into Asia, its rivers reaching into the heart of the continent, offering pathways for commerce and connection. Within years, Kaffa bloomed into a thriving hub, 80,000 souls calling it home, their voices a symphony of languages and laughter, 200 merchant ships docking daily, their holds filled with silks, spices, and stories from distant lands. The streets hummed with life, the air thick with the scent of salt and opportunity. The markets, a kaleidoscope of colors where traders bartered for goods and dreams alike. Kaffa became a beacon of wealth, its position perfect for trade, its future bright with the promise of endless prosperity. But its light drew a shadow, an unyielding force that had once conquered empires. The Mongol horde, a power unmatched in its time, its eyes fixed on conquest, its ambition a fire that burned without end. Conflict brewed inevitable as the tides, a clash of wills between the traders of Kaffa and the warriors of the steppe, their differences a spark waiting to ignite. Yet nature cared little for the wars of men, her cycles indifferent to their struggles. After gifting warm seasons and bountiful harvests, Mother Earth turned inward, her attention shifting, her warmth fading, welcoming a new era, the Little Ice Age, a time of cold that would test the resilience of kingdoms and peoples alike. Kingdoms faltered their leaders, blind to the coming cold, its winters long and harsh, its frosts deep enough to crack the earth, its fields barren under a shroud of ice. Food grew scarce, a quiet ache spreading across Europe, its people huddling in their homes, their breath visible in the frigid air, their stomachs empty, their hope dwindling, with nearly 80 million mouths to feed. The cold pressed hard, its weight a burden on every village, every city, every soul. Kings like Edward III of England and Philippe VI of France, their crowns heavy with responsibility, tightened their grip, taxes rising like a tide, societies fraying at the edges as discontent simmered among the people. Hope dwindled as the harsh weather stretched on for 7 long years, its grip unrelenting, its chill a constant reminder of nature's power. 10% of Europe's people faded from hunger, their homes quiet, their fields empty, their fires cold, their laughter silenced by the weight of survival. Many fled the cities, their footsteps heavy on the frozen ground, seeking safer shores, hoping for a reprieve, only to face worse fates in the wilderness, disease exposure, the gnawing ache of starvation. A typhoid shadow swept through, leaving trails of stillness in crowded towns, its presence a heavy whisper that spoke of more sorrow to come. Then came another blow, a sickness that claimed livestock and fowl, the bleating of sheep and the clucking of hens replaced by an eerie silence, deepening the hunger that already gripped the land. Disasters piled upon disasters, each one a prelude to something vast, something unseen, a storm that would dwarf all that had come before its arrival, a quiet promise of change. From the year 1346, rumors began to spread from the distant lands of Asia. Tales so chilling they seemed born of nightmares, cities of silence, their people gone, their streets marked with sores and decay, their air heavy with the scent of loss. This wasn't a tale spun by storytellers, but a truth carved in the bones of the earth. China, once a land of 120 million souls, in the year 1200, A nation of vibrant markets and ancient wisdom dwindled to a mere 65 million by 1393, its light dimming its story, fading into the shadows of history. Across the Caspian Sea, along the rugged coasts of Korea, through the vibrant lands of India, every corner of the continent bore traces of a sudden loss, a quiet extinction creeping through the Silk Road, its path marked by the echoes of lives once lived. The shadow found its path, its spread, fueled by the Mongol hooves that still echoed across the steppes, their empire waning but still vast, their influence a thread that tied the continents together in their conquest of Crimea, particularly the bustling port of Kaffa. The Mongols faced a new foe, one that cared not for swords or banners. Soldiers fell ill, their bodies marked with nausea that turned their stomachs dark patches that spread across their skin like ink on parchment, and weeping sores that drained their strength, their vitality fading within days, their eyes closing on a world they could no longer fight for. The people of Kaffa, their walls high and their spirits defiant, rejoiced at first, seeing a divine gift against their invaders, a sign that the heavens favored their cause. But the joy turned bitter, a taste of ash in their mouths, as the reality of the shadow's presence settled over them, with heaps of bodies softening daily. The stench rose like a heavy cloud over the land, the air thick with the scent of decay, a reminder of the cost of war and the fragility of life. The Mongols, their numbers dwindling, their resolve tested, devised a desperate plan, one born of necessity and despair. They loaded the fallen into trebuchets, their hands trembling as they worked, launching the diseased remains into the city like a grim rain, a storm of sorrow that fell upon Kaffa streets. The air filled with decay, the streets with sickness, animals drawn to the feast, their growls and cries a haunting chorus in the night. Chaos reigned, a scene of shadows, where hope seemed a distant memory, its weight unbearable, its presence a scar on the city's soul. The Genoese traders, their instincts sharp, sensed the danger, their hearts pounding as they made their decision. They fled on 12 ships, their sails catching the Black Sea winds, the water lapping at their hulls as they set course for Sicily, carrying the shadow with them, unaware of the burden they bore. What followed etched itself into history as one of humanity's greatest trials, a chapter so dark it seemed the world itself might never recover. The shadow had found its wings, and it would fly across the continents, its whispers growing louder, its presence a storm that would reshape the course of history, a storm that would bring humanity to its knees. Those ghost ships reached Sicily in May 1347, their cargo of sores spreading fast, fueled by the hunger that already gripped the land. The unburied bodies, a silent testament to the chaos that followed. The shadow moved swiftly, its path relentless, reaching Constantinople by July, where bodies piled high in the streets, 10,000, fading daily at its peak, their faces a gallery of sorrow, their voices silenced by the weight of the storm. A slave ship, its hold heavy with human suffering, carried the shadow to Alexandria, Egypt. Its arrival, a quiet invasion that would ripple across the region. From there, it moved eastward, touching Gaza in April, Damascus in July, Aleppo in October. Each city a new chapter in the shadow's journey, each loss a wound on the world's heart. Cities like Ashkelon, Acre, Jerusalem, Sidon and Homs fell to a one-sided battle with the unseen, their lights dimming by late 1347, their streets empty, their temples silent, their people gone. From Constantinople, trade routes spread the shadow across the Mediterranean, its tendrils reaching into the heart of Europe. France's Bruges became a center of sorrow, the shadow creeping through Rhone-Lion and into Spain its path, a trail of stillness. Spain faced a double threat caught between the shadow from France and another from La Coruna, where a ship from Bordeaux docked its crew, unaware of the burden they carried. Another vessel reached 𝘈𝘈𝘵 𝘠𝐵 in England, turning the land into a vast public grave. Within 2 years, its fields silent, its villages empty, its people lost to the storm. The shadow marched on, touching Holland, Scandinavia, Norway, its path relentless, its presence a heavy weight on every land it touched. Florence suffered most its beauty, marred by sorrow. Before the cold sealed its fields, drought had parched the land, floods had swept through the streets, and war had torn at its heart. Winter hunger followed the people's faces, gaunt, their hands trembling as they reached for scraps. Then the dark marks returned their spread, a quiet invasion that consumed all hope. Looting filled the streets, desperation a constant companion flight, the only option for many, yet the shadow claimed them all its grip, a deep layer of sorrow that seemed to seep into the very stones of the city. The marks ate away at their bodies day by day, leaving them in pain and great sorrow, their cries a haunting melody in the night, their suffering a testament to the shadow's power. If a realm of shadows existed, this was its heart, a place where hope seemed a distant memory, where the light of life flickered and faded. By 1348, the sickness blanketed Europe. Its name's a quiet roll call of loss. Valencia, Barcelona, Rome, Venice, Paris, London cities that had once thrived now stood as monuments to sorrow. In late summer 1348, Cairo, the heart of the Mamluk kingdom and the Mediterranean's largest city, lost a third of its people, its Nile turning to a river of stillness, bodies drifting in its current, their faces pale, their stories lost to the water's embrace. Within 2 years, the shadow swept through the Islamic world, from Arabia to North Africa. Its path, a trail of silence that left no land untouched. Even Russia, shielded by trade bans with the Mongols due to religious strife, succumbed by 1350, its defenses crumbling, its people fading under the shadow's weight. Hunger, unrest, and sickness drove people to wander, their footsteps heavy on the frozen ground. Spreading the shadow further, its curse, a whisper that followed them. Cities emptied, some losing over 50% of their light. Paris shed 100,000 souls, its streets quiet, its markets still. Florence fell from 120,000 to 50,000, its beauty marred by loss. Villages vanished entirely, their homes reclaimed by the forests, their names erased from human memory, their silence a testament to the shadow's reach. The global toll reached 200 million, half the world's 400 million souls. At that time, a loss so vast it echoes still, a wound on the heart of humanity that is yet to fully heal. Why did this storm strike so hard? We ask, our voices soft, our hearts heavy with the weight of the question. The answer lies within us, in the choices we made, in the paths we walked, in the world we built. Its origin remains a mystery, a whisper from Roman times, its seeds dormant, in the soil of history, waiting for the right moment to awaken. Studies suggest rats and fleas carried it nesting in the damp, shadowed holds of ships thriving in the bustling trade of the 14th century, their tiny bodies a silent bridge for the shadow's journey. The breath of the sick spread it too close. Contact, a quiet connection that bound the living to the fading, yet many denied its nature, calling it a divine will, a judgment they could not escape. In the chaos, leaders pushed trade, their minds focused on wealth, unaware that it fed the shadow, its tendrils stretching further with every ship that sailed. Unburied bodies became reservoirs of sorrow, their numbers too many for gravediggers to handle the task, overwhelming as hundreds of thousands faded every single day, their faces a gallery of loss, their stories lost to the wind. Strange figures emerged, doctors in beak-like masks, their cloaks dark, their steps a quiet quest, summoned to heal or understand, their hands steady but hearts heavy with the weight of their task. Medicine of the time leaned on the humoral theory, a belief that health came from balancing blood, phlegm, yellow bile and black bile, a delicate dance that promised life but often brought stillness. Bloodletting was common, seeking balance, but it brought infection. Faces fading faster, their light dimming under the weight of the cure. Other cures arose, born of desperation and hope, lancing sores to release their burden, sealing them with heat, applying herbs or dung in a bid for healing, drinking urine from the healthy pouring boiling water, even bathing in rose water or vinegar. The scent, a faint comfort in the face of sorrow. Some believed departing souls lingered their essence, cursing the living, a belief that spoke of fear more than truth. These efforts, born of hope, offered little relief. Their failure, a heavy weight on the hearts of those who tried. As science faltered, people turned to faith. Churches filled with the desperate, their prayers a chorus in the candlelit halls, some accepting it as divine will. Their time short, their faith a fragile shield against the storm. But trust in the church waned its focus on the elite, eroding the faith of the common people, its promises hollow in the face of such loss. Pope Clement VI's plea that Jews were blameless, the shadow striking everywhere, fell on deaf ears, its wisdom drowned by the cries of the fearful fanatics. Blame Jews, igniting conflict, their anger a fire that consumed reason. In Sweden and Germany, nearly 3,000 Jews faced flames in 1348 and 1349, their cries a haunting echo in the night, traitors shunning them, fueling division, their actions a scar on the soul of humanity. Others sought forgiveness through pilgrimage, self-flagellation, their bodies bare their steps, weary their whips, a rhythm of penance, yet spreading the shadow further their journey, a paradox of hope and sorrow. With no cure or miracle to offer, faith crumbled its light, dimming in the hearts of many. Some turned to the stars, seeking answers in the heavens, the Paris medical faculty citing a conjunction of Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, tainting the air with miasma, a belief that spoke of desperation more than truth. They advised walking to places with fresh air, for cleaner breaths, or paradoxically seeking out foul and polluted places to cleanse lungs, crowding public latrines, their footsteps heavy, their hope fragile. Of course, this only deepened the spread, human efforts meant to heal, only darkening the tale. Their actions, a quiet tragedy in the face of the storm. Wars like the 100 Years' War between England and France added to the sorrow human strife, matching nature's wrath. Their battles a grim counterpoint to the shadow's journey. The toll was vast, but self-inflicted. losses rivaled it, a reminder of humanity's capacity for both creation and destruction. The shadow didn't pause its journey unrelenting. Nearly 300 years later, in 1665, it returned to London, marking 100,000 of 460,000 souls with nausea, dark patches on their bodies, and sores that wept with sorrow. Its presence, a heavy whisper that spoke of history's echoes. 2 centuries on, it struck China and India, claiming 12 million lives, pushing the global count past 15 million. Its reach, a testament to its enduring power. As populations shrank, the shadow's reach weakened. Trade routes grew silent, their paths overgrown stability, returning like a hesitant spring. Croatia's 30-day port ban later extended to 40 days as the Quarantino, our modern quarantine, stemmed the tide, its wisdom a light in the darkness, a lesson learned through loss. In 2020, history echoed with denial and false cures, mirroring the past, revealing humanity's enduring flaws. Its capacity to repeat the mistakes of those who came before. Science eventually pushed the shadow back its advances, a shield against the storm. But its legacy lingers: the fall of empires, the reshaping of economies, the unveiling of human shadows, a mirror to our strengths and our frailties. We remember it as 𝘗𝘓𝑗𝐷𝑚, the Black Death, a name from Denmark, a mark on our story that speaks of sorrow and survival. This tale, dear listener, is a mirror, a reminder of our resilience, our fragility, our journey through the quiet storms of time. As you drift into the gentle embrace of sleep, let its lessons cradle you into peace, a whisper of history to guide your dreams, a story of humanity's endurance, a story of light found in the darkest of shadows.